Hello, and welcome back for some more Mechyard survival. In the last episode, we more or less finished off building this new mech that you can see behind me, which I have dubbed the Scrap Warrior. He's mostly finished, he needs a few last little things. We'll get those sorted, and then we'll probably spend the rest of this episode turning this platform into a little docking station for him, so that he can walk around, patrol, and when he needs to rearm or recharge, he can come back, dock up, do what he needs to do, and then go back out on patrol again. So, we will start having a look at that in a minute. But first, I would like to say a quick thank you to my YouTube members, and to our returning member, Troopmaster Grim, welcome back to the fold, and to our latest member, Zen, thank you for your support. It is very much appreciated. So, first things first, I think we'll finish off getting this guy's programming sorted out. So, if we access him remotely, which we can do now, we can have a look at some of the last few bits that I need to finish off. So, first of all, we need to finish off his recharging and charging abilities, so we need to make a little group for his batteries, and we will add these into the battery full and battery low controllers. Now these two controllers we can't fully set up properly until we've built his docking station, because part of these controls will rely on the docking station to trigger him to relaunch again. So for now we'll just set up the basic things. So battery full will be set to 100%, and when both of these batteries get to 100%, it will end up doing stuff like undocking and activating the guard mode and things like that, but we'll worry about that stuff when we get to that point. And for the battery low, when we get to, let's say, less than 15% on both of these batteries, and when that happens, it's going to trigger the docking sequence, which we still have yet to build. So we'll worry about the rest of those two controllers later on. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to make a couple of groups for our AI controls. So we'll start by grabbing the AI defense block, the AI guard block, and the AI movement block. And we'll call that AI guard. And then we'll do the same thing, except with the patrol block. And we'll call that AI patrol. And one thing that we're going to need, that I forgot to build earlier, is we're going to need a couple of lights to trigger the two AI modes. So we'll chop a couple of blocks out on his shoulders, and we'll pop a couple of lights in there. So we'll have one in there for the guard mode, and we can have one in there for the patrol mode. And now we've got those two lights set up, we can actually get around to programming these controls properly. So we'll go back into his control panel again, and then we can select our guard mode on and off controller. We'll make this block switched on and off, and oh look, there is our AI guard light right there. That will be the trigger for these controls. And we'll build a few fail-safes before we do anything else. So the first thing we'll do is turn off the patrol light, just in case. And when we deactivate the system, we will turn off the weapons light to deactivate all of his weapons. And then we can turn the AI guard controls on and off. We can also turn their AI on and off. And then we can turn our warp sensor on and off so that he doesn't try and crash into anything while he's out and about. And we can do the exact same thing for our patrol mode controls. So again, it will be block switched on and off. There's our patrol light right there. Fantastic. And for this one, we will turn the guard light off as a failsafe. When the system activates, we will turn the weapons light off when the system deactivates. We will turn the AI patrol blocks on and off. We will turn their AI on and off. And finally, we will turn the walk sensor on and off. And that should be, at least for now, all the basics we need for our patrol and guard modes. And if I have set that up correctly, we should be able to add these two lights into our button panel on the front of the mech. So we'll have guard light in position 1. We'll have that switch on and off. We'll have patrol light in position 3. Have that switch on and off, and then we'll make an on-off button for the entire mech, which we can put in position 2. So now if I press that button, he should kick into life and start following me. Fantastic. So those AI controls now work properly. That's good. And now we need to make a way of turning our control systems on and off. So I've set up a controller for that. And we are going to use the block switched on and off function. And then we are going to use the LCD screen here that I've built as the on and off switch. And now we need to make a group for it to control. So we're going to add in the gyroscopes into this group. We are going to add the AI defense block. We're going to add the 2 AI thrusters. And we will add all of our walk controls. And then we'll just call this group Control Systems. Now if we go to our Control Systems controller, we can turn all of that stuff on and off. And we'll also add a few more things into this controller. And so we are going to add a few little fail-safes. So we will turn off the guard mode light, and we will also turn off the patrol mode light to make sure that those modes both turn off when we try and turn off the entire mech. And for the same reason, we will also add the weapon control light. And as a little fail-safe, we will make doubly sure to turn our walk control thrusters back on. We will make sure that the walk rotor is off before it starts. And we will ensure that the walk cycle timer turns back on. And so now, turning off this LCD should depower the entire thing. Or at least all the bits that are important to controlling it. Now we can't move, we can't do anything. And now if we turn it back on, everything springs back into life. Go, control him once again. So we'll add the on-off function on that LCD to that middle button. And now we have an on-off button for our new mech. Now, when he is switched off, trying to activate these 2 switches does nothing. We turn it back on. We can engage all of his AI controls again. Okay, well, now that we have him mostly sorted out, we should probably have a look at building this docking station. So, let's get rid of this piston and a few blocks around here, and we will begin making the turntable that he's going to sit on. So I'll quickly get all of this ground out, and then we can carry on with that. And now that we have that sorted out, we can begin building the platform. So we'll start off with a little cylindrical tube there. And we'll build a little platform made of half blocks off of that. There we go, there's the beginning of our rotating platform. And seeing as we've got the squid right here, I might use him to weld it up. And there we go, that looks much nicer. So we will raise this rotor up a little bit, and then we can extend it out to get a little bit closer to this edge. And for that, we are going to use a whole bunch of light armor plate panels. And now we have our platform filled out a little bit better. So we'll jump back in the squid, weld that up, and then we're going to have to make a few little adjustments specific to our mech that we're building. And now we're probably going to make a little bit of a custom ramp to actually get him up there, because the 2x1s are a little bit too steep for him. So we'll grind these out. And for now, we'll just build him a really rough little platform. It doesn't need to be perfect. We can sort that out later on. There we go, that'll do for the moment. Now if we take control of our new scrap warrior, you can walk him up that ramp. There we go, just about. Fantastic. So, he's going to be about that wide. Now, what we can do to help keep him centered when he's walking onto this platform is to take out these plates in the middle and essentially create a little guide rail for him. And there we go, so that rail should help us keep the mech centered when it moves in and out of this spot, and prevent it from drifting too far to the side. Well then, the next thing we are going to need to do is we're going to have to think about some kind of docking clamp to hold this mech into position. So we will take out a few of these plates either side, and we'll build a mounting point to start building our docking clamp from. So we'll go with a couple of the good old beam blocks and see how far that gets us. Right, so we have a couple of beam blocks and some pistons mounted on the top of them, and basically these pistons are going to act as part of the docking clamp. So what we need to do is we need to figure out exactly how far we need these pistons to go. 2 meters is going to be way too much, so we will start them off with a maximum distance of 1 meter each, and see what that's like. So that shouldn't be too bad, that's a good starting point. We can extend it out further from there. And then for part of the docking clamp itself, we are going to start off with a few of these blast door blocks. We'll get these welded back up. And then we can give these a little bit more of a test. So if we push that forwards to 1 meter, there we go. Push that forwards as well. There we go, we've still got about a block either side, so we've got plenty of room left to go. So let's do this in small stages. Let's go 1 1/4. Okay, let's say 1 1/2. Go. And now 1 1/2 this side might be a little bit too much. Yeah, you see that's too much. It's now pushing it, and it's pushed past his leg and gone too far. Call it 1.3 meters for now. Then the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to build some kind of way for the docking clamp to push the mech back into the center. So we'll build a bunch of hinges on the ends of these blast doors, and we'll get those welded back up. And then on the ends of these hinges we can place a few more blast doors. Then we'll get those welded up. And then we can fold them all the way in and give them a decent amount of strength. So we'll go with 1 million for now. And we'll do the same thing with this one here. And the same with the 2 at the back. And then for a little extra support on these docking clamps, we can add a few more beam blocks. Now, because we've got this cannon hanging off the back, we are going to have to do something slightly differently to the way I did the scrap walkers. So we'll add some beams to the outside. And then on those beams we can add a few more blast doors. And we can also tuck a few more blast doors on these beams at the front. And I'm curious to see if adding some light armor slope tips to the tops is going to make any real difference. Might do, might not. We'll give it a try. So we'll get all of these bits welded up, and then we'll do a bit more testing. And another thing we should probably do is put all of these hinges on shear inertia tensor. So if I swing that out, yeah, that doesn't look like it's catching on anything. That seems fine to me. Fantastic. Now that is going to be a problem. Yep, that's catching on the end of that gun. So, we will probably have to move this along one. We'll give that another try. So we open that up. It's not catching on the gun. And it can fall back like so. Fantastic. Okay, well, I'm going to quickly get all of these pistons and hinges named and sorted out, and then we'll have a little look at trying to set up some programming for it. Okay, so we will build ourselves a button panel, and we will have a look at automating this thing. And now we've got this button panel set up, we can have a little play with this docking system. So we've got one button for pistons, one button for hinges, and one button for the rotors. So if we undo those hinges and undo those pistons. There we go. You should have ample room to be able to walk in there. So, when it comes into dock, the pistons and the hinges will both retract. Hopefully help push him into the middle. There we go. Beautiful. It was looking a little bit ropey for a second, but that's not too bad. And to help the mech lock down when he comes into dock, we are going to add a couple of mag plates to either side of this docking clamp. And then we'll get these welded up and named as well. Yeah, so now with those mag plates on, the pistons are extending a little bit too far, so we'll have to bring them back a little bit. So if we set that to 1.25 either side, we'll try that. It's not too bad, that's pretty spot on. And we retract the hinges again. That shoves them into the middle. We can lock down the mag plates. And then once it's locked down, we can rotate the whole thing. Yeah, it's not too bad. And then when he's recharged, it would unlock those mag plates, retract the pistons and hinges, and then he can walk his way out. Right, so we will walk him back into position, and then we can activate the docking pistons and the docking hinges. That should all shove him nicely into position. That looks pretty good. Then we can lock down and we can rotate again. I think I want to make a few little adjustments to how these little barriers are set up. So I'm just going to add a few blocks in temporarily before I make these changes. The back end is fine. I'm going to grind these 2 blocks out. I have one of those there. One of those there, and then we'll have a couple of those either side there, and we will do something similar at the back as well. Take that and that out, place them with those, and then we'll put those on the ends. And then we can take these blocks down. And then the next thing we are going to need to think about is the docking clamp that is going to connect up to the mech and refill it and rearm it. So we will throw in some blocks temporarily while we figure out what we're going to do with that. And then next we're probably going to want to build the start of a conveyor connection. And hopefully it'll be similar to the scrap walkers. So if we set that up there, and we build a hinge under here, and grind out the middle of it, and replace it with a medium head. Get that welded up. Then on the end of there we can have a conveyor converter. Pitch that hinge back a little bit. And then we can have a piston followed by a small hinge, a small conveyor corner, and then we'll just copy some of the settings from the scrap walker's docking bay. And then we can stick another piston on the end of there, and another hinge, and then finally we can stick a little connector on the end. So we will weld all of this stuff up too. Right, well now that that is all welded and named, we can have a look at how this is going to work. So that is going to extend out. That is going to flip forwards. That is going to extend down. And look at that, we are really close already. Just need to make a few little adjustments here. Let's take that arm back to 10 degrees. So if we bring that arm back a little bit, and if we bring this arm forward a little bit, back a little bit further, pitch that up a little bit more, that looks pretty good. And we could have it extend to about there, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so if we fold all that back up, fantastic. So we'll test that again, unfold that, we'll retract that down, that can flip up, and then that can extend. And then we can lock down. There we go, and that will be the start of our refueling system. And next I think I will put in some basic framework for this building. So we'll start placing a few blocks. And there we go, that's a nice little start to our new docking station. We've got the platform mostly sorted out, we've got the basics of a docking arm built, we've put in the basic framework and structure of the building, and at the back you can probably see I've put in a little rotor for what is going to become the docking computer for this thing. And next time we will come back and we will start programming all of that kind of stuff. So, thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.